Welcome to Feng Shui Living, the podcast designed for busy women who want to de-stress, live with intention, and create a home that truly supports their well-being. Each week, I'll bring you practical tips, insightful ideas, and simple strategies to enhance both your home and your life. Let's get started. Welcome, friends. Welcome back to Feng Shui Living. I am your host, Lisa Morton, and I'm excited as we're doing a Feng Shui Audit episode today. It has been a while, and I'm so excited to have Kassidi Norris joining me today. How are you?
Good. Very excited to be here and get your take on my space.
Yeah. Well, you already had a busy morning. We were chatting before we started recording. You've been super mom, running around, doing all your things, getting your Orange Theory in, and everything else in between.
Yeah, all the bits and pieces today.
Oh my gosh. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself, where you live and your family.
Yeah. So we live in a suburb outside of Indianapolis. And so currently I am a stay-at-home mom of two little wild animal girls, 2 and 4. So they keep me very busy and we try to have lots of fun. Previously I worked in healthcare, and so that's just kind of a big part of my life of caring for other people.
Wow.
So,
right.
Yeah.
How long have you been in your home?
We've been here since 2017, purchased, and then got married the following year, 2018.
Nice. So you're settled, you're feeling good.
Yeah.
I did read, I'm trying to think. So, if you haven't taken part in an audit episode, everyone, what I do is I send out the intake form. I ask for floor plans. So make sure you are signed up to get my weekly newsletter, because in the newsletter, you get to see the floor plan I share in the newsletter, so you can see what it looks like, so it makes sense what we're talking about. But when I was going through, let's see. All right, now I'm might be overthinking this. You might have the opportunity to move for your husband's work. Is that?
So, yes, that has been part of the reason why we've stayed in this home. It's a 3-bedroom with a loft.
Okay.
And with us and 2 kids, right now, the bedrooms are packed full. And we've kind of just questions like, do we make the move? Or then what if we got moved for work and gone back and forth? And so at this point, that has been one of the big reasons that we kind of feel like, originally it was a 3 to 5 year house, but is it crazy to move? And then what if you get uplifted in 6 months or less, or you don't know?
Yes. I mean, that can be stressful. My husband and I did that many years. We would move for his work. We'd get settled. And once I had this joke that once I would start seeing people at the grocery store that I recognized, that I knew from somewhere else in town, I'm like, oh, it's time to move again.
Yes. And I know, his company is kind of like quick with it. It's like, oh, hey, we'd like to move you and you'll be there next week. It's like, oh, okay.
And then meanwhile, you're the one that has to pick up all the pieces, coordinate everybody. I mean, I've never moved with children, just dogs, but I can't even imagine the overwhelm that would bring.
Yes, we got very close one time, and I was like planning. I had ChatGPT telling me my neighborhoods I was going for. I mean, the whole thing. But thankfully, I'm okay with us being here still.
Fantastic. Well, let's focus on really loving this home while you're in it. And when it's meant to have a move, when you're meant to move, you will move and find a new place that's going to be wonderful and supportive to your family. But we'll focus on this, love on this one. There's definitely this energy, and I know I've been caught up in that before. Like, I don't want to get too settled. I don't want to get too comfortable. I don't want to do too much to the house, right? We have to be able to resell someday. And that can just get in your head and hang on for a while. So I think it's really important to find that balance between that smart mindset and the mindset of this is where I am right now. I need to love on my home and my home will love me back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Okay, so let's talk about curb appeal. So, folks, I have to read this for you from her intake form. It was hilarious, and I laughed out loud. So, if we've ever worked together, you've answered this question. If not, here's a question that's on every intake form. It says, if you were a stranger walking into your home, what would be your first impression? And her answer was, the inside is a pleasant surprise compared to the neighborhood and maybe even the exterior. So you have to tell us a little more about that and why you said that.
So for our neighborhood, when we initially moved in, we didn't expect that we were going to be here very long. We thought, oh, we're, too young, engaged, not even married yet,
Okay.
no children, family, and we'll be here for 3 to 5 years. It's a 3 bedroom, like just it's a decent size, but it's not huge.
Mm-hmm.
And, then life just keeps kind of happening and we get married and we had kids and COVID happens and all of the things. So because we love our area, because, the work element of a move, we've stayed where we are.
Okay.
But with that being said, I like to feel good in our home. And so we've done updates and, we've done a lot of beautiful work to the kitchen and some other parts of the house. So, unfortunately, the neighborhood has not gotten all of the same love that maybe we have put into our space.
Okay. All right. Well, here's something that I'd love to throw out. Something I love to do in neighborhoods like this. They just need love. You need to spread some love, right? I love to bury rose quartz stones. So
Oh,
they can
okay.
even just be those small little pocket stones, and I might bury one at each of the four corners or along the front, or you just even put one in your front yard and just like ask that love to kind of emanate around and spread the love. I mean, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
$2 for some stones and do it with intention. Like I say, make everything a ceremony from sweeping your floors to whatever. Light a candle, hold these stones, maybe hold them up to your heart and just ask them to emanate love throughout and bury them in the yard. It's a beautiful way to love on your home and in the neighborhood too.
No, I do love that, especially in the front where it's, we're connected more to our neighbors and things like that.
Okay. So if you do have any difficulty with neighbors, we can approach that at another time. There's different stones you can bury just to kind of create a little more energetic distance too. But I want to get into, we have 3 other things that I want to really focus on today in this audit. Number 2 is the guest room.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Share with everyone your thoughts on the guest room.
So, unfortunately for our guests, which are usually our parents, we have kind of outgrown all of the actual bedroom spaces. And so right now the guest room is a loft space with a queen size bed and then just kind of some other miscellaneous things that have what I like to call turned into Monica's closet from Friends because that's where everything goes.
You have a freezer in there.
Yes, we have a deep freezer there. Yeah, everything gets to live there.
Oh my gosh. This happens. This is life, right? We have to navigate different times of our life like this. I would, because it's an open loft, right? And people need waking up in the morning. They don't want everybody seeing like hair sticking up. Like, I don't know about me. I have like terrible TMJ. So I have this big old night guard I wear, right?
So
like, I don't
cute.
want anybody to see me like that. So I would recommend, if nothing else, invest in like some cool folding screens.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, jump on Marketplace and
Okay.
look. You can find some great ones there. Dig around online and see what you can find. Even just providing a little bit of a barrier through just even one folding screen will give them that sense of like, This is an area I can fully relax, right?
Yeah.
Just even having a little bit of that will help them because you know what it's like traveling.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you're staying at someone's home and you're tired, you just want to sleep really well. And without having a little more protection or closure to that space, it could keep them from fully relaxing in their body fully, going into deep sleep.
No, absolutely. And I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on this, on how to make that a better experience, because I don't personally love sleeping at other places. I really like to be in my bed and in my home, and I want them to be, as comfortable as possible.
Sure. You talked about, I don't know if it was in our conversation or before we started recording, but about possibly wanting to put a desk in there and do different
Mhm.
things with this space. How would that work with a queen size bed? Would you be open to maybe a sofa bed or something so you can close up the guest room experience and
Mhm.
turn it into an office or another workspace?
So, my best idea so far has been taking that deep freezer, transplanting it to the garage where I think it will be much happier, and using that space that technically, I think if it were all closed in, it would be a closet. And that way it's kind of tucked away. It's a little bit separate, because I don't necessarily want, a desk sitting right in front of somebody with, paperwork or
Mhm.
just some of that kind of stuff. I don't necessarily want that front and center where
Okay.
they're either looking at it or just like that stress, I feel like, from desk and numbers and all of
Mhm.
that.
Well, I mean, that's another place a folding screen would come in great. You could get a pair of them and put one kind of near the entry and then one kind of covering your workspace. Because
Yeah.
exactly, you don't want them looking through your paperwork and they don't want to be in your way either. That could be just a nice way to create a little division. You can also take a bookshelf.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did this once, took a bookshelf and took some really cool fabric
Mm-hmm.
and did it on the back side of it. So, in my office side, I had a cool bookshelf with books and supplies in it. And then there's like the backing, it was a see through bookshelf, but then the backing was this cool fabric.
Oh, that's fun then.
And then they got to see it on the other side too.
Yeah.
So, kind of fun and creative.
I love that. Okay, great.
Something to think about. Um, but regarding the deep freezer, we want to really make sure we're filling the areas of our home with things that energetically align with that. So I would definitely recommend you move that to the garage because the energy of a freezer freezing food to prepare and nourish your body doesn't really fit with a bedroom sleeping situation. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so let's move that. The other thing I want to point out is you have a lot of walk-in closets. I'm counting 4 walk-in closets.
Mm-hmm.
So think about going up.
Okay.
Go up in your closets, especially those, when I work with people with condos or smaller spaces, there's a lot of wasted spaces. A lot of these homes have tall ceilings. You go in the closet, yeah, the rod is hung and then there's a shelf above. But you could put a whole nother row of shelving up there.
Yeah.
Are you going to access it every day? No, because it's going to be annoying. But you can put off-season things, winter clothes, gloves and hats for the winter, or hide a crock pot. So I don't know. But put those things you don't use very often up in that high shelving because it's extra space to put things and just stuff you need once in a while.
Yeah. And truly, a lot of the clutter that is in there currently is like old toys that really could leave the house. They
Okay.
just need to make that jump.
They need to make the jump to the car and then you got to remember once they're in the car.
Yes. And then a big chunk of it is also like different decorations and things that moved from one spot, and then we painted a wall and didn't put the stuff back up, so then, or extra throw pellet, like funny things like that kind of that, like you said, pick a home for it if it needs a home. But like if I'm saving it, I don't need it. I don't need easy access to it.
Mm-hmm. Because you don't have a basement. So
No, no.
you really have to be smart with your storage.
Yes.
Do you have room in your garage to add some storage? Some shelving?
Yes. So we have one like shelving unit now.
Okay.
And that has been something on my mind of just doubling that, like adding a sister unit to it for, the outside toys, like all the things that they don't have a home all the time. It's like seasonal. We don't always need it.
Yeah. Well, and it's that time of year where you're transitioning from
Yeah.
packing up all those winter clothes and getting the bikes out and all the outdoor toys
Yes.
out. So you are kind of going through it. So maybe it's a good time to spend a little few hours maybe sorting through, putting together a pile to donate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
It's
giving you homework for your weekend.
no, it's needed. The accountability, that will be helpful. Lisa told me, babe, I need time to work on this. I'm so sorry.
There you go. And they're going to be like, Lisa told me I'm supposed to go to a coffee shop and sit where it's nice and peaceful and quiet and relax with a cup of coffee.
I'm so sorry.
You're so funny. Okay, let's talk about the third and final topic today is you had mentioned, I know you love being a mom and to your two girls, but you had said that eventually you do want a new chapter in your life, like a new your next steps. What could that be? What do you want that to be? What do you dream of?
Oh my gosh. So I do dream a lot about all the different things. I read a new book and I'm like, oh, I could be a librarian or,
Ooh.
whatever it is. But I think some of the top interests are, potentially working with books, whether that's a helper at a library in the kids' library, once they're in school. There are requirements to be an actual librarian, getting a master's and some different things like that. So I probably won't go full board that direction. I have a bachelor's already, so I don't know that I need all the extra.
Sure.
Ideally,
Sure. I mean, there's so many
unless
ways
I needed the money for, if it got to that point, okay, whatever. But priority wise, I think just having hours to still be home with the kids, at least for a certain amount of time. But some other things, I chatted with a friend about swapping out the kids' clothes. I do like to do that. I do like to have clean clothes and take care of our clothes. And she's like, I would pay somebody to swap my kids' clothes out. And I was like, well, you could pay me. So, even just something as simple as that, it's like, do you add in these small pockets of things you do? And then I know next year I have signed up to be on the board of the preschool. So like that'll be a fun kind of new adventure, using some of the healthcare business side of experience that I have. So
nice.
And then some of the design stuff, like it's always been fun. So I've looked at, do you get into real estate side? Do you work some way in that? Like I said,
Feng Shui.
I like to
I
make
know
my home
someone who
pretty.
teaches.
So weird. Yeah, so those are just some things that have stood out.
Fun.
And it's just trying to figure out like what works for this chapter. Because I get excited and think like, oh, I need to do something now to prepare, and reminding myself that even just this small stint that the kids are little or need somebody to drive them, like that time will only last so long. And then I have a whole nother chunk of time to hopefully, God willing, fill. So it's just hard to narrow it down sometimes when I feel like I can't make a move yet, if that makes sense. It's a lot of dreaming and thinking now.
So the front and you guys who've listened to the podcast for a long time, you know I'm always talking about the mouth of chi, and if it is aligned left to right in the center of your home, your front door, if it's aligned there, then that's connected to your career. So your career now is being a mom, right? It could be whatever you do day to day. Like you get up and you volunteer every day, or you get up and you're an accountant or whatever, right? You're a mom. But we can really focus on that area when we want to bring new things into our life.
Yeah.
So when you're ready, we'll dive in and really zhuzh up that front door, that mouth of chi, to bring in new opportunities. And maybe there's some really cool things you've never even thought about that you could be a great pairing for, still being available for the school concerts and volunteer at the school when you need, but also to take on your own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, while we're having this conversation, my friend Shannon Russell, who I met like a year and a half ago, just released a book that's really fun if anyone is trying to like navigate moving from one career to the next. So she actually was a TV producer in New York and LA. I think she worked for MTV at one time. So cool. And then she has this epiphany while she's already has a child at home and then was pregnant with her second son. And she's running through the streets of New York City, 8 months pregnant, trying to get to her first son's pickup time. And she's like, this is not working.
Mad chaos.
Right?
Oh my.
And then ended up transitioning and shifting, starting her own business, and then sold that business. It did amazing, sold it, and now she's teaching other women how to move from, this is your job to this, or being a mom to a career, or from a career to being a mom to maybe your next step. Anyway, the book is called Start Your Second Act. Her business is second. I'm sorry. I'm totally drawing a blank on the name. I'll put a link in the show notes, but it's a really great book where you hear about her story and how she helps women like navigate that. So I'll send you a link.
Would love that.
Just to kind of get brainstorming of what you like, what makes you happy, because it's no longer do we just have to have jobs. We can do things that really like fill our hearts every day, and then we come home and that energy is around our family, or our kids, our pets, whatever, and also to our home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that intentionality of that she's kind of walking you through it, because my original first career working in healthcare was not healthy for me. It was pouring a whole lot in, and it was truly one of those things that I didn't know how far I was stressed and pulled apart until leaving, which was also the transition of becoming a mom. So it was just everything let loose. And so I can see that now. And hopefully in that next, step, we'll be able to make better and healthier decisions.
I mean, now things you didn't know then.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
And priorities.
You know more about yourself too. That's what I always say is, when you're younger, you think you know everything and how to navigate life. Then it hits you and you're like, oh, I knew nothing.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Even I wondered, how are people getting all this stuff done? That's a mom and she has pickup. So she don't have time to talk to you. Like, she gotta go. I'm like, moms are the best people to employ. They have to get their stuff done.
You know it. That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Whole new perspective.
One more thing I didn't have on my list to talk about, but I wanted to bring this up. This is a feng shui thing. So in your home, on your floor plan, you have the stairwell goes straight up and then opens up into a hallway, and opposite that is a bedroom. So this is labeled bedroom 3. Tell me about who's sleeping in that bedroom.
Yes. I'm so interested to hear what you have to say about this. So that is our youngest daughter's bedroom, because it was kind of the last.
Reagan.
Yes. She's 2. we have to keep a sound machine in the hallway now because just the sound alone, I assume you would speak more on energy, but just the sound alone that it feels like it just radiates up the hall, up the
Okay.
stairs, and into her room. Her room is lovely. I am obsessed with it. But it definitely feels different than the other rooms, and which I'm sure makes sense to you.
Well, it's very interesting. So again, if you get the newsletter, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The master and bedroom 4 are kind of tucked away, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go up the stairs down the hall, and they're kind of tucked away. It's kind of a cozy, quiet, safe. And bedroom 3 is directly opposite the stairs. So this is a lot of energy coming in the front door, shooting up those stairs and straight into that bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not ideal. I would expect that she would struggle with sleeping.
At times, yes.
Okay.
Like she is the one who, when she wakes up, it's get me up. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
She is the go-getter. I mean, she is efficient. She has figured all the things out. She does not need anyone's help, which, at 2, that's kind of expected. But yeah, her sleep journey has been a little bit different for sure than our first one, I would say.
Okay. Okay. I would recommend, if nothing else, keeping her door even like partially closed, maybe even halfway closed if you're comfortable with that,
Yeah.
during sleep.
Yeah, when she is sleeping, the door is usually shut.
Okay.
And she's got her sound machine in her room to help with just that space of giving it its own kind of, energy. It feels cozier.
Okay.
So yes, her door is shut when she is sleeping.
Okay. And you'll want to think about like grounding, earth, element, materials, beige, tan, brown, chocolate. And I know they're not the most fun colors to decorate little girls' rooms with, but maybe even like a beige throw across the bed. Or you could bring in some natural materials like rocks and crystals. I don't like a lot of rocks and crystals in the bedroom, especially little ones, but maybe some selenite or some rose quartz could be nice. Just natural materials, not a lot of the synthetic materials. That could feel really good.
We have a couple things in her room that I'm curious which element they would fall into.
Okay.
So one thing, her curtains are a very heavier, like a suede.
Okay.
Mustard kind of yellow. So they're darker. And then the dressers that we have, we ended up getting, what do I want to call it? Like a chalky teal, maybe.
Oh, like a painted.
Painted, yeah. The top's
Nice.
wood.
Okay.
And it is, I would say, more of a tannish wood, a lighter color.
Nice.
So I'm curious about those, how you would classify those
the
two.
mustard drapery panels are going to be more earthy, right? Yellow is actually an earth element unless it's like a neon.
Okay, I wondered.
Yeah, neon leans like a fire element,
Yeah.
but mustard, like a true yellow, even like a golden yellow is going to be an earth element. So that should be grounding and cozy. I love that it's like a thicker material that feels really grounding too. What are the stairs wood? Are they carpeted?
They're carpeted.
Okay. Okay, nice. Good. I might suggest as you're walking up the stairs, there's her door, and to the left and the hallway, adding some sort of artwork or something over there to catch your eye, just to kind of slow down the energy from going straight in her room.
I love that idea. We don't have anything up right now.
Okay.
And I always feel like that space is bare. Like it could use love for sure.
Use some love.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Then I realized I didn't answer your second question, the dresser. So the dress, like a teal, it kind of leans two ways. Like if it's more blue, it would mean more of a water element, more fluid, kind of fluid, creative kind of vibe. If it's more green, that's more wood element, which is a little higher energy. We think of the wood element as like moving forward, taking the next step, healing, renewal. So totally fine in there. I like both. My only comment with dressers and furniture is to be mindful of those poison arrows or sharp corners on things. We don't want a lot of sharp corners coming towards our body while we're sleeping.
Yeah. Okay.
Mindful
That's
of
a good
that.
point.
And also really ensure she's on her bed is against the wall. So she's in that command position.
Yes.
So she can see the door off to her right.
So hers is off to, she's kind of against, let's see, kind of the corner of like by the window and the outside wall.
Okay.
So she's perfect. In bed. The door is like over and across.
Okay. That's good. Good. Any questions with Charlie? I love Charlie's name.
Charlie. Oh,
How's
man.
Ashley sleeping? Everything going well?
She does pretty well for the most part. She struggled with falling asleep for a while.
Okay.
And it's interesting you say that against the wall, because I think when she had the most trouble, she had the same bed that Reagan has now, which is like a floored toddler bed.
Okay.
So it's nice that it touches. I feel like that is just a nice point, at least at their age. Yeah. But it only had one, like the long side against the wall, and the head and the foot were not.
Okay.
And I feel like I could see how that could be a little trippy of like, where's my head going? Whereas Reagan's is against the wall. Like, you're stopped there.
You're not falling off.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere.
Do you have a headboard?
So there's no headboard really. It's a little like railing, but I wouldn't consider it a headboard on that bed. Now, she has a big girl bed now. She has a full headboard, whole suede pink moment happening.
That sounds fabulous.
So sassy, so fits her. And we moved the bed so the headboard is against a wall and the side. And I think that definitely has helped.
Good. Okay, awesome.
I wouldn't have caught it in the moment, but when you asked it, I was like, you know what? Yeah.
All right. Well, I touched on everything I really wanted to bring up, really especially getting that deep freezer out of the guest office area, Monica's closet area.
One question I did want to ask with the guest space. With the bed size, we technically have enough space that we could put the head of the bed either in like two ways. The bed could, in the pictures, I don't know if that helps. It could either like the head could be next to the laundry room or it could be beside of the laundry room.
This is a good discussion point.
So I was curious on that.
Yeah. So we don't ever want to be sleeping with our head against a lot of electrical in the wall or a lot of plumbing.
Both.
A lot of energy moving. So I would not put it there. I would, a lot of electrical concerns with EMFs and things, but then just water, a lot of energy moving. So I would always move the bed to another wall, another location away from water, electrical, those major things.
Okay. I'm so glad I asked then.
Yes.
It is against the laundry room for now. So hopefully we will have better sleeping results after.
Do you have anything else that you want to ask?
I'm trying to think of that space.
Or any other room in the house. I have something else actually I just saw.
Yeah.
So you have, going from your living room into your kitchen, there's a small hallway with closet doors to the right and then a bathroom door to the left.
Yes.
Sometimes when we get a lot of doors moving in one area, it can kind of cause the only word that's coming to mind is discombobulated feeling.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right there. So I would always recommend one of those cut glass prisms. I have them on my website, but you can also pick them up at like gift shops and things. People think they're just pretty, but it's a really wonderful cure or adjustment for bringing harmony to the space. So I would recommend hanging one of those somewhere in that hallway where all those doors are.
It's very funny you mentioned that space. So last year when we worked on the kitchen, we converted that to a coffee bar.
Ooh, interesting.
And it does feel less chaotic because the doors were big and they opened out, and you could not, if the doors were open, there was no moving.
Okay.
You were very confined if the door was open. So the flow of the space definitely feels better. Do you have any, like, do you still
so now it's a
think?
coffee bar.
So now it's a coffee bar. There's two upper cabinets.
Okay.
And then like a built-in coffee with lower cabinets and a
nice. My only thing is this is where you're making your coffee that you're going to drink and enjoy, like food item, and it's directly across from a bathroom.
Yeah.
What do you do, right? That's why we have adjustments. Make little I would just recommend keeping that door partially closed.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Even like halfway closed, just to kind of keep the energy of the bathroom and the coffee bar and the rest main area.
No, I actually really like that. We've gone back and forth between truly potty training situations, but the bathroom closed, I'm always happy with that option.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we've had a long episode, but great conversation. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. I am excited to send updates on the other side.
Please do. We'll have you back.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, everyone. If you love this episode, please share with a friend. Give us a great review. We would so appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Special thanks to our sponsor, Elevated Living School of Holistic Design and Feng Shui. For more information, head over to the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share this episode with a friend. We'll see you next time.